Hi everyone, this is Danny from the Web Seller Circle, and I'm here tonight with Cindy Shebley. We're going to begin our series on information sells, the art of creating and marketing quality information products with the emphasis on quality. This series is going to cover everything from how to choose your subject to how to budget, how to choose your materials and your audience. We'll talk a bit about how choosing your subject determines how you're going to make your product. Obviously, if you're doing something that needs to be produced by the tens of thousands, you're going to not do that in your own living room on a single computer. But if you're doing something like making a PDF ebook, you'll have much smaller upfront expenses and you'll be able to make it yourself. We're going to look at how choosing your subject determines not only what your audience will buy, but who your audience will be. And also, of course, knowing your audience will help you choose your subject and how to deliver it. It's not exactly a closed loop, but all of these things work together to help you choose the best way to convey the information that you want to help people learn. We're going to look at your budget and what an important role budgeting plays in creating an info product. I haven't seen that addressed a lot in a lot of the tutorials I've seen. And yet, the truth is you can't just say, let your audience create your project for free. Let them give you the information and you just sell it. Your budget is going to be a very important part in determining what you can afford to do and how you choose to distribute your product. Maybe you'll want to hire an expert, and if you do you have the budget for it? If you don't have the budget for that, maybe you'll want to be your own expert. And we're going to look at both of those instances in some detail tonight. Cindy's going to go into great detail, in fact, on how to choose an expert, how to find one, and how to share the project with an expert or a partner. Your budget is going to also determine how you download your product, as well as how you create your product. Say you wanted to create a book about collectible coffee mugs from Starbucks. This would not only have a lot of text in it as you describe the coffee mug and what year it was made, where it was made, how to grade good ones, chips, crazing, things like that. But it would be very important to have not only pictures, but very high quality pictures and color pictures. That might make the book beyond expensive. In fact, too expensive for your target audience to buy. Plus, a big, heavy coffee table book is not something most people are comfortable dragging around to garage sales and thrift stores. So perhaps if you're creating a book like this, your best deal is to do an ebook, not just because it's less expensive and still has high quality photos, but because you can put it on your phone or your iPod or something like that and take it with you everywhere you go so that you can refer to it when you stumble across that once-in-a-lifetime find. You can see how all of these items, your budget, your audience, your subject, your medium, all work together to determine what's the best kind of product for you to create. And of course, we do want to emphasize again that we're talking about creating quality ebooks. Now, I don't want to put a hurt on ClickBank or those kind of places, but we're not talking about the books that are just a series of affiliate clicks, some kind of ebook where you pay $10 for the rights to distribute it, and there's maybe 2 pages of writing and 8 pages of clicks, and you make a small affiliate commission every time someone downloads something from that ebook. Or the kind of ebook where somebody's gone to Project Gutenberg and just put 100 ebooks on a CD and is now saying you have worldwide rights to resell this. Project Gutenberg books are free, and we're not adding any value by saying that you have the rights to resell them. If you were going to take something in the public domain and make a book out of it and sell it, we'd hope that you'd take some time to add value to the book. So in our books, content is king in our videos and products, and we're hoping that that's the way you're going to look at making your products as well. And we find when we make books at the Web Seller Circle or we make videos that while there's nothing quite as satisfying as holding in your hands a printed book that you've written or edited and published, there's also nothing quite as expensive on the back end as publishing a paperback book. So we, although we have published paperback books, have found that we get a much wider audience for our material and actually make a better profit when we deliver the books as a download or as a CD. And again, this is something where your subject matter dictates your format. If it's an online video, it's 2 or 3 minutes long, there's no point in putting that on a CD and selling it. If it's something where there are 100 videos almost identical in subject matter available for free on YouTube, and you don't have a way to differentiate yourself, again, there's really no reason to try and sell that. But it can still be a very valuable information product that you use to bring people to your other books and CDs or to your website or something similar to that. So don't think that the cover price is the only value in your information products that we're talking about tonight. They also have value in establishing your reputation, creating your reputation as an expert or an authority in your field, and in reaching out to new people and expanding your audience. We want to encourage you not to be afraid to experiment in how you deliver your info products. While we'll mostly be concentrating on the well-known formats like ebooks, CD-ROMs, and DVDs, your subject matter can also be delivered on something as simple as a USB key. It can be downloaded to an iPhone or an iPod. It can be put on an SD card and loaded into a laptop computer or a PDA or something similar to that. All of these formats are available for you to experiment with, and depending on your audience, any one of them could be the perfect one for your info product. Lastly, when Cindy's talking about budgeting, she's also going to look at pricing. And I'm sure you know that every particular kind of media has built-in pricing expectations among your audience. People don't expect to pay on YouTube. No matter how much of an effort and how professional it is, you're not going to get anybody to pay for something that they can get out from YouTube. On the other hand, people do expect to pay for something on a CD or a DVD, and in fact they expect to pay a little more for it than they would for online video that they stream from a website, just because a physical product has an extra value already added into it. Info products, in their nature, have a little bit of a rep because there are some sleazy marketers around the internet that have given them a bad rap. You don't want to have your product positioned or priced in a way that identifies it as part of that sleazy market. If you don't want to be seen as that kind of info marketer, don't act like one. If you want your ebook to be perceived as something with a lot of value, treat it like Amazon treats their ebooks. Make your sales page look like a sales page from a seller you admire. So you don't necessarily have a lot of long copy, making super hyperbolic statements and promises, lots of yellow highlighting, lots of testimonials from people who seem suspiciously unlikely to exist, things like that. Be honest, be straightforward, and most of all, emphasize the benefits of what your product is. Give them perhaps a sample. If it is a video, give them a few minutes on YouTube so they can see what it is. If it's an ebook, perhaps you might want to have a free chapter to be downloaded so people can see that you're offering real value. So that's what we're going to cover tonight. Cindy is going to talk next about how to budget your project, and she's going to go into the details of how that budget will help shape your product. I'll come back and talk a little bit about the public domain as a great way to find source material and how you can use that to build on things that you might not be able to do yourself. And then Cindy's going to talk about affiliates and how affiliates might be the perfect sales force to get your book out beyond the market that you're already part of. And finally, we're going to look in not great detail tonight at some of the hardware and software tools available to make ebooks and CDs. Next week, we'll get into that in a lot more detail when we look at the mechanics of writing and selling an ebook. We're going to look at how to format your text so that you produce a real professional-looking ebook and not something that just looks like a printed 20-page Word document or a business letter. We're going to look at how to take that document and turn it into a professional PDF, maybe even including graphics or video. Then we're going to show you in a demonstration how to burn that PDF onto a CD so you can sell it on somewhere like eBay that doesn't accept digital downloads, or you can sell it on Amazon and get a little extra money because of the physical product that you have to offer. And then we're going to talk about, if you want to sell on somewhere like Amazon and eBay, how to turn a CD into something more than just a blank CD that you burned on your computer in a white envelope, how to make a real retail-ready product, or how to sell a downloadable PDF in a way that keeps it available to your customers 24 hours a day so they don't have to wait for you to wake up if they're on the other side of the world to get their download link. How easy it is to create a website that will protect your products and still make them available 24/7. So with that said, let me also go over the coming 3, 4, and 5th weeks when we'll be talking to you about CDs and DVDs for videos and screencasting, and the tools we generally use most to create that, including Camtasia, Sony Movie Studio, and the always mysterious Kanaki.com. We're going to look at creating intros, outros, transitions, editing, multiple layers of soundtracks, how to use background, what's called motion backs from a source like Digital Juice, things like that that will help you produce a more professional product at very little expense, but will increase the value of your product quite a bit. And finally, in week 6, we're going to talk about how to sell and market this book without falling into the sleaze trap that gets so many people in trouble on the internet. So with that said, let me turn you over to Cindy, who will be talking about how to budget your ebook or video project.
Thanks, Danny. And hello, everybody. Good evening. Oh, gosh. Here we go talking about budgets again. It seems like every time we start talking about doing something, Danny and I always talk about budgets, and here we go again. But knowing the costs up front is going to help you create a profitable product. So when you get ready to price it, you'll know how to price it, and better yet, how to make some money on it. So in this module, I'm going to talk about some of the costs that you're going to incur in creating the product. So let's go ahead and jump in. The first one is talent. Now, it might be that you're going to go ahead and be your own talent. Tonight we're mostly talking about writing ebooks, but as we get into this series, we're also going to talk about videos and screencasting. So you have to know whether you're going to do an inventory of yourself and understand whether you're going to be comfortable with doing your own voiceovers or being in front of a camera if you do a video, or even if you're going to decide to take on writing, if you're comfortable with your writing skills. Now, you might also have all of that in place, but you might not have the knowledge of the subject. And if that's the case, or if in any of those other cases you don't feel comfortable with your talents, another way to go is to hire talent. So let's start talking about hiring talent and finding an expert. One of the nice things right off the bat about hiring somebody to be your expert or to be your voiceover or to write your book is that you can pay them up front, and once they're done, you get to keep all the profits going forward. So that's one benefit I wanted to put out there right away. But let's talk about finding talent. Now, most likely, finding talent is going to be easy for you because the project's going to be something that is near and dear to your heart, something you know about most likely. So look at your network of friends. Who do you already know in your network who's an expert on the subject? Possibly somebody that's a co-worker or somebody that you've met at a convention. Somebody like that might work for producing the product. So first check your circle of friends. Now, if your circle of friends and acquaintances and network don't fit the criteria, there are other places to find talent as well. And Elance and Craigslist are the first two that come to my mind. Surprisingly, on Craigslist, there are plenty of actors and ghostwriters or writers who are looking for work. So you can post a help wanted ad under gigs, under talent on Craigslist, and you'd be surprised. You probably get a lot of responses. Now, the upside to finding somebody on Craigslist is that they're likely to be local so that you can work with them one-on-one or face-to-face. And in lots of cases, that's going to make the whole process a lot easier. Emails are, I prefer them, I like them, but they can be a clunky way of communication. So just having that good old-fashioned face-to-face interaction is a real benefit to hiring somebody from Craigslist. But I know that Craigslist isn't going to work for everybody, especially if you're in a rural area. So another place that you can look is called Elance. It's elance.com. And if you've never heard of it, it's a place where freelancers can bid on jobs that are posted by people who are looking for talent, essentially. Now, it's mostly designed as a place for internet techies and things like that to offer their freelance talents. But there is a lot of other talent out there as well. It's not just coders and techies. There are editors. There are people who will write your book for you. There are even freelancers who will, if you don't feel comfortable using the software, let's say after the Camtasia review that we do in a couple of weeks, you decide, oh, that's just too much for you. There are people who will do the Camtasia work for you. So there's lots of talent and lots of freelancers on Elance that are looking for work. I thought I would spend a few minutes on talking about hiring somebody from Elance. First, understand that Elance is a worldwide platform, and you're going to get bids from all over, from places you've never even heard of. It's kind of fun and exciting. But you're going to receive proposals that are across the range, from crazy cheap to super expensive, from people who speak better English than you, even though it's their second language, to Americans who may or may not be fit for your particular job. Now, Danny and I have been doing freelance work on Elance for a while now. And as freelancers, there are a few things that we've noticed that we'd like to pass on to you to help you get the best talent for your project. The first thing I want to say is don't rush. I know that this is going to be a really exciting project for you, but take a deep breath and take your time. I find that if I don't bid on a project within the first few hours of that project being posted, oftentimes the people who are looking to hire will get so many proposals that they'll close the job and hire somebody really quickly. That means that I have to hustle if I want to get that job. And I'm okay with that, but I always think that, they might be missing something, because many providers or freelancers that are any good may not check Elance every day because they're busy with other jobs. So I would say that you should give your job posting at least a week, if not a couple of weeks. I think the standard they recommend is a couple of weeks. Try not to get overwhelmed with that rush of first bidders. Give them the other people, the other freelancers, a chance to come in, read your proposal request, and ask you questions, and then give them some time to consider and write up a proposal that matches your needs, not just a canned proposal that a lot of people will put out there because they know they've only got a couple hours to capture the bid. They'll just put a bid out there and figure everything is negotiable. And I know a lot of us in America, when we see a standard bid price, we kind of think that's a set price. But in a lot of other countries, that's kind of a negotiable price. So you might find a surprise halfway through the project if you're just grabbing the first person who sends you a canned proposal. And also, once you hire somebody, set reasonable milestones. Don't rush that. Give your provider or your freelancer time to produce the product. If they're writing something, it's going to be a little bit of time. I know it's exciting to you, but you've got to give them some breathing room. If you start rushing them, I can assure you that they're going to start cutting corners, and you're not going to get the highest quality product that you can. So set some milestones so that you can keep track of the project, but don't rush them, because you don't want somebody just copying and pasting somebody else's work. You might have some copyright issues going forward. So give your provider plenty of time to do the job correctly. And of course, when you look at the proposals, the amount of money that people are proposing, generally, a good rule of thumb is to throw out the very cheapest one and throw out the most expensive one. That's just a rule of thumb, but don't be cheap. Do not go for the very bottom dollar. I know it's tempting and that you're on a limited budget, but somebody who's just bottom dollaring it, they're probably going to be cutting corners. So look in the middle range. When you set up the proposal, I want you to take some time out yourself and write specifically what you want your provider to give you. More they're trying to read your mind, the less likely they are to get it right, because nobody can read your mind. So put out some specifics there. Tell your provider going in, so they know how to bid it correctly, what exactly you are expecting them to do for the job. The other day I saw a proposal request, and the title of the proposal request was 3 words: write a book. And when you clicked in, the description of what this person wanted, my life story, another 3 words. Well, there's no way that a provider could give you an accurate proposal or a bid on that little of information, or even give this person what they want in the end. So I know that if you've got a project, it's a hot idea, you might be a little bit shy about writing specifically all the details in a public forum where everybody can read that proposal. If that's the case, then take your proposal and write out a semi-vague outline about what you're looking for. Ask your potential bidders to contact you and to sign what's called a non-disclosure agreement, which means that they won't talk about it to other people and pass on that information. And then have them sign that and then provide them with the complete details so that they can bid on it. Now, if you're not familiar with non-disclosure agreements, or what they're called NDAs, or referred to NDAs, we will have one in the web sellers library for you to download. We'll have a template for you to use. So don't forget to ask for references and check them, and ask them, if they're going to write it, where they're going to get that material from. If you're looking for a ghostwriter to write original material, you want to make sure that they are going to write that original material, not just copy and paste it from somewhere else. So that's Elance, and those are ways to hire an expert. And again, it's nice to hire an expert up front, because once you hire somebody and they do the job for you, anything after that, if you've set up the agreement right, is all yours. All the profit is yours to keep. So you pay up front and don't have to worry about residuals and royalties and things like that. But to be realistic, it's kind of pricey to hire an expert, especially a ghostwriter. You may not have that ability to just, fork over that kind of money to hire an expert. So another alternative is partnerships. Now, Danny and I have used this in a number of occasions. As you've noticed as we've gone along, we partner with people to produce products. It's been a great business model for us, and it's been a win-win for both parties. It can be very workable, and it's a great way to create an information product without having to put a lot of upfront capital going into it. When you're thinking about hiring somebody, or you're going to, not hire somebody, you're going to partner with somebody, think about it even before you contact them. Think about how you're going to offer this partnership. And you go back to what we've learned about selling in general. Always tell your prospective partner the benefits over the features. In other words, tell them what's in it for them. So think about what you're going to offer them in exchange for them being your expert or your talent. There are a number of a number of ways that Danny and I have partnered with people. The standard seems to be kind of 50-50. You know, they'll be the talent, they'll be the expert, and we'll do the back end work. We'll do things like Camtasia and the video editing and stuff like that. So, you know, they have the talent that they want to get out there. They have the knowledge. They want to make an information product. They'd love to get it out, but they just don't have the technical skills to do it. So we'll say, yeah, we'll do the technical stuff if you do the rest. And it works really well. Now, there may be a celebrity in your field that you're thinking about that would work as not only the expert, but to build your authority. And you might want to consider approaching them. So you have to think about the possibility of giving them a little bit more than just your regular 50-50 split. It might be that you want to give away the whole shebang to them just to get them to partner with you. It's not unheard of, especially in your first information adventure, if you're looking at a celebrity, to offer them 100% of the profits of the sales, just so that you can build your authority or get your foot into the door. So think about that in going forward. And think creatively about this. If you're going to approach somebody, make the offer really stand out. And it's worked for me, so it should work for you as well. It can get you, it can build your email list, it can build leads for you for your next product. It might be that you have a back-end item that you can sell as well. So maybe you can think of offering your celebrity, your authority, 100% of the sales for the product if they do this project with you, but at the end of the project, you might have a membership site ready to go so that you can upsell and second sell that membership site to the people who are buying the product, because you know you've got a built-in audience that is interested in that product. So there might be another value-added product that you can make your profit on while still being very generous and getting the attention of that authority or that celebrity. I'm not going to kid you that, some of these ventures, to get your foot in the door, you're going to have to give away something and, be generous about it to get the balls rolling. So when you've found that partner, it's good to have a written agreement, especially if it's a friend, because you don't want to lose that friendship over something you forgot that you said you were going to do, or money that you were going to give 4 or 5 months from now after the project has been completed. You've forgotten all these little details. So spend a little time writing out an agreement, and maybe both of you should sign it. Now, the agreement should probably have something about how to divide the work, who's going to do what, and how you're going to divide the money. And also, as a component, there should be a timeline on both the money and the work. So, don't leave it just open-ended. We're all busy, and I've come across this before. So, things just get kind of set aside and put aside, and before you know it, it's months and months later, and things have not gotten moving. So part of your agreement, you should set up milestones. When are they going to have the product ready if you're going to do the Camtasia? When are they going to have the product ready for that part of the deal? And then if you're going to do the Camtasia, how long is it going to take you to edit that product? And then how long is it going to take for it to go to market? When are you going to sell it? And then if there is a split and how the money is going to be split, how is that going to be split? Because you'll find that is as individual as the person or the partner you accept. Some people expect it to go like royalties on all sales forever. Others don't see it that way, depending on who you're partnering with. They might say, we'll split it 50-50 or 70-25 on the first sale. After the first sale, after the first 90 days, then we'll both have our own copies of the product, and any money we make, we keep 100% of. So be clear on that when you set up the agreement, so that you don't feel slighted, or they feel slighted because you just assume that somebody else knows the standard operating procedure, because there isn't really one. It can be as creative as you want it to be, but you do have to, especially if you're working with partners, you do need to spend some time and having these agreements up front. So money and timeline are two big issues that can really strain a partnership. So make sure that you're very clear on those two going forward. I'm going to turn this over to Danny, who's going to talk a little bit more about finding free material. If you're not ready to have a partner and you're not ready to hire talent, she's going to talk about maybe a better way or another way to create an information product with things that are already there. So,
Thank you, Cindy. We're going to look at, in this module, building on works in the public domain, or standing on the shoulders of people who've already created products before us. Now, there are lots of things to consider when you're working with public domain works, and I can only touch on the surface here. We could do a whole 6-week course on just figuring out what is public domain. It can be that complicated. What I want you to know first is that you can do a lot of research yourself at www.copyright.gov. If you're an American, that's where you'll find out if a work is or is not in copyright in America. Now, different countries have different rules. Some subscribe to the Berne International Copyright Convention. Some have the Digital Millennium Copyright Act provisions in place. Some still have their original copyright provisions from the 30s and 40s in place. Some places like China and Russia are a little bit more of a Wild West situation when it comes to copyright. And you'll find that everywhere is different. But we're going to look here at the American situation. Now, this is a very rough guide to get you started. There are exceptions to almost everything I'm going to say here. But in the United States, books, and not just books, but magazine, artwork, movies, records, songs, any sort of creative work published before 1964 had to have their copyrights renewed at the Library of Congress in their 28th year. That before 1964, copyright was an opt-in system, and you had to affirmatively place a request for copyright and then renew it. Up until 1999, copyrights, when they were renewed and ran for an additional 47 years. Hence, at that point, copyrights were for a period of 75 years in the United States, and then the work passed into the public domain. In the late 1990s, intellectual property began to become quite valuable because of the internet, and it became possible to spread electronic material in a quality as good as the original at very little expense. That is to say, in less polite terms, you could pirate the hell out of things. And so things like BitTorrent and the original Napster and things like that brought on quite a lot of concern from the big producers of artistic material and how their copyrights were being handled and how the extensions were going to last. The other thing that happened was that Mickey Mouse, the original Steamboat Willie character who became Mickey Mouse, was going to drop into the public domain. And this was a huge worry for the Disney Corporation, seeing their work suddenly lose value instead of accumulate value over the years. And Disney was lobbying extremely hard for a change in copyright law. And the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, sometimes known as the Sony Bono Copyright Act, was signed into law in the United States. And it changed a lot of things. Copyright now is opt-out. If you write something, you don't have to publish it. You don't have to do anything with it except create it, and it's under copyright. Now, it's going to be a little hard to defend your copyright in court if you haven't registered it, but it is copyrighted, whether you register it with the Copyright Office or not. Copyright now runs roughly 75 years from the date of death of the creator, which is a whole different thing. And a number of works that were previously out of copyright have come back into copyright. Ulysses is the outstanding example of that. James Joyce's descendants have recopyrighted Ulysses, and there are things that have been traditions with Ulysses, like public readings of the work in Dublin on Bloomsday, that have caused quite a stir because the families tried to stop them because they're not getting royalties from the use of a copyrighted material. So you can't just assume anything with copyright, but you can, in general, and not as an absolute matter of right, assume that if it was created before 1923, it's now in public domain in the United States, even if the copyright was renewed 47 years after 1923. 23 is sort of the drop-dead date on copyrights. When the Digital Millennium Act was passed, it couldn't reach back into the mists of history. They had somewhere to stop, and they stopped at 23. If it was from 23 to 1963, and it was not renewed after 47 years, it's also in the public domain and not exempt from the renewal requirements. So it's probably in the public domain. All of this gets dicey. All of it is open to interpretation. So if you're going to use something that was a very successful commercial product that you think is in public domain, research it carefully before you plunk down your own reputation. You don't want to be marked as a plagiarist. You can research it at www.copyright.gov/records. It's not always easy to research copyright, and again, if you're doing some big project with a lot of money and you're worried about whether or not you have to license the rights, if you have the kind of money that would go into licensing rights, spend a little of it on research and get a professional to research the rights first. Otherwise, do it yourself and just be careful. Here's what you might find when you're researching copyright. This is from the Copyright Office, and it's the information that's returned when you look up Catcher in the Rye. And you can see that the registration date on the second line is 1979. That's when it was renewed. You'll see on the third line it says that's the renewal registration for the book that was originally written in 1951. Now, at the time that this screen grab was originally created, Salinger was still alive, so you'll see at the bottom he doesn't have a death date. There'd be one there now, and you could probably add 75 years to that and know the next time you might be able to put Catcher in the Rye out under your own imprint without paying for it. It's quite a bit in the future. When you see those kinds of dates hard-coded into the information, it's not in the public domain. You can find out a lot more about this and how to do the research and what the returned information looks at, what it means to you, at onlinebooks.libraryyupenn.edu/renewals.html. Make a note of that. It'll be up on the Web Seller Circle when we put this up, and we'll have it as a clickable link below the video, so you'll be able to find it again. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the public domain itself. Public domain works are a part of our cultural heritage. When you think of books and stories that go back as far as the oral tradition can go, you'll realize we've been taking other people's work and using it, transmuting it, adding to it, just repeating it and changing small details as far back as the Iliad and the Odyssey. We've taken work and changed it by maybe adding a musical score and taking two feuding Italian families and turning them into an Italian and a Puerto Rican gangs in New York, and turning Romeo and Juliet into West Side Story. Walt Disney takes things like Sleeping Beauty and adds dwarves and mice to it and makes a cartoon. We build on public domain works as part of our cultural heritage. So when you build on the public domain, you want to try and add value, add something original to these works. This is a picture on the left of Alice in Wonderland from the original Tennille drawings, which are now out of copyright in the public domain. And Chad Newman took that original illustration, took it into Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, worked with it, changed it just enough so that he's created something original, even though he's not an artist himself. And it's recognizable to anyone who's familiar with the original drawings as part of the Alice lexicon, but it's done in a way that's turned her into someone quite different from the little girl we all know from Alice in Wonderland. You can also increase the value of your work by using high-quality public domain works. This watercolor, I think it's a watercolor, is from Tale of the Squirrel Nutkin by Beatrix Potter. It was done in 1903, and it's in public domain now. So you might be able to use this on a children's book you're writing, or if you're writing some sort of nature book, you might be able to use this as an illustration in some way that you couldn't do yourself. You're doing a high-quality illustration. You're adding quality to your work by using the work that came before. Or you might want to just increase the value by increasing quantity. This is an eBay seller who has done quite a lot of work researching his niche and finding very good books with lots of information in the public domain about self-sufficient lifestyles and living off the grid. And he takes probably 20 or so of these ebooks, puts them together in a CD, and sells them fairly inexpensively on eBay. As you can see, this particular collection has sold almost 1,400 copies as of earlier this afternoon. At $4 a book plus shipping, he's made quite a handy little profit, even considering the cost, which isn't very high, of the CDs. And he sells them as just a regular old CD in a white envelope, nothing fancy. So he's making a small profit on every single book, even after eBay fees and PayPal fees and shipping costs and material, and selling. This book is almost 15,000. He has several other books that are in the $500 range. So he's made several $1,000s selling public domain work by adding value, by aggregating it. That's something you might want to do. Now, I'm not saying go out and copy this guy's work. He's created this niche, and he deserves to benefit from his work. But there are plenty of other niches available. And I want to pull up my browser here and give you a look at ways you might do some of that research. So here's our friend Google. And what we're going to do is go to advanced search and then change from file type, see file type down here, from any format to PDF. And because we're looking for public domain, I'm going to look under just dot. The domain can be anything, .gov. Let's return 20 per page. And I'm going to look just in English because that's all I speak. And what we're going to find is when you look for documents put out by the government, they are almost always in the public domain by law. You have already paid for these documents to be created as a citizen of the United States through your taxes. And so the documents are free for you to use. Now, we didn't look for anything in particular, so we're finding some pretty weird stuff here. And you, of course, would probably want to look for something a little more interesting than tell me everything in the world that you've ever produced at the government printing office. But you see, we've already come across something here called Becoming Better Stewards of Our Past. And that might be a very interesting book. The main thing is your file type is PDF and the site is .gov. You can also, let's go back and put in a subject. So I'm going to say our subject is gold prospecting. And now we're getting books from not only the federal government, but various states telling us how to prospect for gold in those states. And this is something where if you had an audience that was interested in panning for gold, and you knew that you had a big audience in Wyoming, you might want to look in just Wyoming state government archives, and you might find something quite interesting and be able to put it out and add value. Then maybe go get some maps and some stuff about dinosaurs and other things that would go along with the gold prospecting and create a really interesting little ebook. The other thing you can do instead of looking under .gov is to look under the edu extension, because universities quite frequently put out ebooks that are in the public domain. And if you have doubts about whether they are, you can always contact them and ask. And you see again, we have rockhound and fossil hunting right away. That might go with our prospecting. So look for edu and gov PDF books. The other thing to do is to go to the Internet Wayback Machine. Everything on here is supposed to be either public domain or Creative Commons. Don't take that as absolute truth. Do some research after you've looked. But go to www.archive.org and look here, search media types. Let's look for Dust Bowl, and you can search certain media or all media. I'm just going to do all media and click go. And you have some very boring images that I've already looked at from NASA. But as we come down here, we find a really, really fascinating interview with a woman talking about her life during the Depression in the Dust Bowl, what it was like to be in Okie, losing your house and moving to California with nothing but the clothes on your back. There's some wonderful pictures to go with it. There's a Woody Guthrie song. It's an MP3 that's been cleaned up and sounds really quite good. Woody singing the Talking Dust Bowl Blues. There's a lot of stuff in here that you can put together to try to find material about a subject that is very hot today, which is ecological disaster. So maybe you're going to actually write an ebook about going green and global warming, but you think your audience might benefit from a historical look at other ecological disasters. Well, here's a gold mine for you. So that's the kind of stuff you might find in the public domain, and it's all free. There are also photos, there's music, there's movies, there's all kinds of stuff available when you do your research. So let me turn this back over to Cindy, and she's going to talk a little bit now about affiliates.
So we're going to talk more, we're trying to bring it back to, keeping this as part of your budget. So this class, again, we're trying to get you to the idea of how much it's going to cost to produce this thing. And another part of the figuring that out, or the cost, is the cost of marketing. And of course, there are a number of ways that you can market this product after you've got it created. There is, a pay-per-click. You could do a Google pay-per-click to get people to your website to purchase this thing. The problem with marketing in that way is that you are not getting people to pay for performance. You're getting people to click over to the website, but they're not necessarily converting. A typical marketer will tell you that a 10% return on those clicks is a good, in fact, stellar. It's more like 4%. So pay-per-click can be very, very expensive, whereas using affiliates to market your product can be much more performance-oriented. In other words, they have to sell the product before you share any of the profits with them. So we wanted to talk a little bit about using affiliate marketing as a way to get your product, the word out about your product. So we're going to talk a little bit about, of course, the cost of affiliate marketing. In some cases, and one thing that comes to mind is like an internet marketer like Alex Mendozian. I don't know if you know him, but if you spent any time on the internet, you've probably subscribed to his mailing list or have heard of him through another affiliate. What he'll do is he'll actually offer 50 to 100% of the money from that product to his affiliates. But, he's got a back end that he's got set up, because he knows that if he can get you on a phone call, or he can get a number of people on one of Alex's phone calls, it's very likely that he'll turn you into a customer for his $3,000 or $4,000 training course, which are really awesome, but they are kind of pricey. So he'll use affiliates to get the word out and give them 100% of the revenue just to get the word out. Now, I know that's a lot of money to be giving away, and it's very generous, but I did want to throw that out there because that is one of the ways that you can use your product to build a list. If your main goal here isn't to exactly make money on the creation of the information product, but to build your list, to build your authority, to build your sales potential for your next product. Now, the typical affiliate cut is between 20 to 50%. So that goes into the final value or the sale price of the product. Ever wonder why the cost of a binder and a couple sheets of paper costs so much? Well, it usually has to do with the affiliate cut. It's not that the binder is expensive to produce, or that paper. The quality of the product, I'm sure the ones that I've bought are really high quality. It's just the product itself didn't cost any money to produce. It was an expensive physical product. And the main reason, or a lot of the reason why those products are priced at $97 is because they're offering 50% of that to their affiliates to get them charged up and get them excited and get them out there talking about that product. So you might want to consider something like that. But let's talk about the actual cost of running an affiliate program, because affiliate programs can, they can cost a lot of money. If you look at a place like Commission Junction, or you buy the software outright, or you use another one of the affiliate programs, they can cost $300 or $400 to buy the software, or that much in monthly upkeep. Even one shopping cart can cost a couple $100 a month to run your affiliate program through that. And that's a lot of money. Now, when Danny and I first created the Easy Auction Photography CD and book, I had a lot of people who wanted to be affiliates and help me sell this product, and it was a real honor to have people interested in the product and want to sell for me. And I couldn't wrap my mind around spending so much on a product, so I tried to administer my own affiliate program by an Excel spreadsheet and email. What we did was we set up each affiliate had their own landing page, and anybody who bought off of that landing page would get their affiliate cut. Well, that was a heck of a lot of paperwork and emailing and stuff like that for very small return on investment. The real truth of the matter is not just Cindy Shebley and her Easy Auction Photography, is that when you set up an affiliate program, you're going to find that there are probably only one or two people who really go out and sell your product. They have a list, they have names, they have the ability to sell, and they're going to be the ones who sell your products. And it's a very common thing on the internet or with affiliate marketing. In fact, there's even a name for it. They're called super affiliates. So do pay attention to your super affiliates, but understand that there's going to be a small fraction of people who will actually sell your product. So you want to get something that you can administer, that's going to be not going to cost you a lot and not going to take a lot of time to administer in itself. Now, luckily, over the last couple of years, there have been a few solutions that have popped up. Now, one of them is eJunkie. Now, eJunkie is eJunkie.com, and it starts at like $5 a month. And eJunkie is great in that you can set up your shopping cart. You can set up digital downloads. So if you decide that you're not going to make a physical product, you can't sell that on eBay, but you can sell a digital download on eJunkie. So your customer can go to eJunkie. The eJunkie shopping cart will take care of delivering the digital product for you. It'll put the money into your PayPal account, and better yet, it will take care of your affiliate management. Now, that means that if somebody wants to be an affiliate, you can just send them over to your eJunkie sales page, and at the very bottom there's a link there that they can just subscribe to be an affiliate. It's very simple for you to set up. It's very simple for your affiliates to belong to the program as well. Now there's another little bonus to the eJunkie affiliate management program. Now I was just talking about super affiliates, but super affiliates can also, you might have somebody who has a large mailing list in your sphere, and you want to make sure that they get out and talk about that product, or they may be a public speaker or some authority in your field, and that you want to get their attention. Well, you can set up different affiliate rates for different levels of affiliates. So let's say you do have an authority who will be a super affiliate. You might want to offer them 50%, whereas your other unproven affiliates that you don't know they're going to sell that much, you might only offer them 10 or 20% on the sale price. So you can set up levels for your super affiliates using the eJunkie shopping cart, which is really nice. And again, only about $5 a month. If you just joined the Web Seller Circle, and you haven't seen it, we this spring we did a series on setting up an e-store with WordPress using what's called the e-store plugin. Now there's a module for the e-store plugin that also allows you to do digital downloads, and there's one for affiliate management as well. So I encourage you, if you want to not pay money to eJunkie over time, you want to try having your own website on WordPress. It's very simple to set up, and it's not very expensive. It's about $50 for the plugin, and you can have your own affiliate shopping cart on WordPress. So check out that series as well if you're interested in setting it up. So to quickly conclude about affiliates, they're a great way to market your product. They are going to cost you some money. Do look into getting affiliate management software. And I also want to say, don't wait for those super affiliates to come to you, because they're not going to if they've never heard of you. Approach them, and approach them with a good offer. You can, if you use a shopping cart like eJunkie, you can offer them more than your regular affiliates to get their attention, and that's worked for me in a number of occasions. So that is another tactic to use. Now, another budget consideration is your software. Now we're going to talk more in detail on the software going into the next couple of weeks. So we're just going to give you an overview here of the software you need, and we're going to talk more in detail about it as we get into the program. So the first one you're going to want is Adobe Acrobat, and that is going to allow you to be able to take those PDFs and edit them. So if there's a lot of these Creative Commons books, they will scan every page, including if it's a library book, the library cover where they had the library checkout information. You may want to take that page out of your ebook. It doesn't add anything to it, and make it look more professional. You can't do that using the free reader, the free Adobe Reader that we all have to read PDFs. You need to get Acrobat. And you should get a newer version, 8 or 9, because if you use one of the older versions, I've had problems with it because Acrobat will take over reading your PDFs. And if somebody's created a newer PDF on a newer version, like 8 or 9, to create the PDF, then you can't open it with the older version of Adobe Acrobat. And we all use PDFs in our day-to-day businesses, so you're going to have to keep your version up to date if you're going to use it for ebook editing. The bad news is it's kind of pricey. You may be able to find an older version that you can save some money by getting the older version and upgrading to the newer version by downloading the software at Adobe. The other thing that you want to think about is Photoshop. Now, you don't have to get the full suite of, the latest CSV or whatever the latest version of Photoshop is. Elements should be fine. You don't have to get the newest version of Elements either. You can, anything above about 5 is fine. You can use that to pull out images and make graphics for your ebooks and, spruce them up and make them look more professional. Especially if you're thinking about using some Creative Commons pictures, you want to be able to save them in formats that are very printable and reusable. So Photoshop Elements is something that I would say is essential. Now, if you're not comfortable with Photoshop Elements and you want more information about using Photoshop Elements, we're going to talk a little bit about it in this going forward in the next couple of weeks. But do know that we've got a full line of tutorials in our library at the Web Seller Circle that should help you as well. So we've already got quite a bit of information on using Photoshop Elements for you there. And then finally, you're going to want to create an image that gives your viewer the idea that this is a book or a CD or whatever you're going to deliver it on. So something to make this look physical for your sales copy. True Brock shot or quick 3D cover. In fact, quick 3D cover is what Danny and I use most often, and that opening screen that we used with all the different media types with the title on it was done with 3D, quick 3D cover, which will do books and CDs and the like. It's going to cost you about $60. Once in a while, on giveaway of the day, there will be a software offered for free that will do this kind of 3D cover for you. Danny watches the giveaway of the day website, and when anything like that shows up, she always announces it on the forum board. The problem is you have to get in there in 24 hours and download it and turn it on to get it for free. But do keep an eye on the forums, because we do post those kind of things on the forums, so you might be able to save some money that way, but expect it otherwise it's going to cost you about $60.
Thank you, Cindy. I just wanted to discuss one more thing, which is the expanding world of ebooks and all of the weird and different new ebook readers that have become available. You're probably all familiar with the Amazon Kindle. It's gotten a lot of press. You may or may not have heard of the Sony ebook reader and the new Nook, N-O-O-K, from Barnes & Noble, both built on familiar platforms that have a bit of a history, but they've been taken over now and made more proprietary. Each of these hardware choices requires a different software to create your ebook, and the ebook is delivered in a way that can only be read on that reader and not on another. It's a real problem for ebook makers. I would suggest at this point that you pick one and concentrate on it, and I would suggest that you go with Amazon. Now, not because the Kindle is necessarily the best reader. I have a Kindle and I like it, but there's a lot of things that I don't like. It's not backlit, so I can't read it at night in bed. I need a light to read by. It's black and white. E-ink is very, very easy on the eyes, and part of the reason is because it's not backlit and it's only black and white, but I miss color. And the biggie for me is that Amazon ebooks can't be downloaded from the library, and I love reading library ebooks, and to do that I'd need the Sony reader, but then I couldn't read anything from Amazon. So you can see it's a problem. But do think about the Kindle as a way to expand your audience. Despite all of these problems, the Kindle is far and away the leader in ebook technology. It has the biggest audience. It's a very big seller at Amazon, and ebooks sell in very large quantity at Amazon. So if you want to expand beyond just PDFs and your usual circle of buyers, expand towards the Kindle platform. Go to https://dtp.amazon.com/mn/sign-in. That's their digital text platform where they'll teach you how to make a Kindle book out of your PDF, and you can upload it and begin selling on Amazon. It's very easy to do. You'll find that most of the best-selling ebooks on Amazon are actually free, so don't expect to make a fortune selling your ebook on the Kindle platform. But if you don't mind looking at it as you would, say, YouTube as a way to expand your audience and bring people to you as an authority, the Kindle is a great way to do that. And again, it's free for you to create and to use. If you sell your book through Amazon, you don't have to worry about downloads or shopping carts. Amazon will do everything. They'll give you 70% royalty and keep a 30% commission. So that's what we have for this week. Next week, we're going to look in detail in the mechanics of making your ebooks. We'll wrap it up for tonight. Thank you all so much for attending. If you came in late and missed any part of this presentation, it'll be up on the Web Seller Circle. And if you have questions, please ask them on the discussion boards. We'd love to carry on this conversation a little more with you on the forums. So for Cindy and myself, thank you so much for being members of the Web Seller Circle, and we'll see you on the boards. Thank you.